All right. It's yeah, it's time to do another late evening stream. You may see this anytime, but it is live right now, and it's midnight, so it just turned into the 16th of May, 2021. So let's see here. Let's get that background to wrap up. And I have another, well, creative session to explore. I want to do another blog article reading, and I've done a lot of blogging this year about creativity and design and collaboration and a variety of things related to projects that I work on, like, well, game development and whatnot, um, illustration, that kind of thing. So when I reach into the blog, it typically there's a lot of other topics that come up, and it's like a bit of a, well, I hope a a relaxing read, a background thing that is maybe nourishing or interesting, and it fits in with a perhaps mellow part of your day, evening, daytime, whenever you happen to be listening to this. If you're live, I do have the chat pulled up, and we'll be making sure I put an eye toward that from time to time as well. But that's then a few other things are on my mind this evening. This will be probably somewhere 30 minutes or so as a session. And I have a little bit of sketching to do related to my video game Guitar Fretter. And there's, well, I'll go into that when we get to that section. But there's a reason that I have some new art to add. Then let's see, some reading, some art, and then maybe the good old TurboGrafx 16 can be part of our day here, and that's in a way just, oh, here we go. There's my old Turbo Stick. Video game systems for a good number of years. It was almost a foregone conclusion that I would somehow find a way, scrimp, save, trade in games, and eventually get a joystick for that system, especially after Street Fighter 2 came out. But even for the good old TurboGrafx, that was a thing. What system did I want that for first? I had uh, I would say it was after the crash of the early game systems like Coleco and Atari. There was, like, you can get all kinds of interesting peripherals and games inexpensively, and I think that's where I started to get excited about odd and, you know like, I don't know, big joysticks that are somehow feel like you're, I don't know, controlling something amazing, something awesome. And well, I guess that just well, it continued with me. Let's see here. Where to start first? I'm looking at the chat, and I'm going to start by reading one article, and then we'll do some sketching. Uh, let's see what we have um, available to switch as a view here. How about that? Um, I'm going to make a small adjustment. Go. Yeah. And so here we go. I've got a browser pulled up, pointing at interactive-storyteller.com. That's my blog. I've got a variety of different projects I host there. My A lot of writing with the main site, but then also I post my podcast, the Polytechnicast, there as well. And every month or so, I'll do a new episode of that. And you can see here's the latest stuff, both from the blog side of things and the Polytechnicast. So yeah, then good old important mentions too of, well, you could get my newsletter if you're into that. Get some connection updates here and there. Um, that is an infrequent, roughly monthly newsletter that I share some thoughts. What did I talk about in the recent newsletter? It was, let's see, it's totally not coming to me right now, but it wasn't just like repeating a blog post. Um, that's kind of the point. So other ways to support, my different work, throw some encouragement and high fives my way. You can just send a comment with, sending a message, or you can do the whole buy me a coffee thing, which is very welcome. So if I scroll through the recent posts, I am curious. I am going to do the article off the cuff clarity can feel accidental, even after preparing. Okay. So if this is in the background, just to make sure I fill in the gaps with theater of the mind, there's not a whole lot of illustrations or visuals for this one, but I've got a header image, a lead image for this article that has a few different simple shapes, stick figures that are having a conversation. And there's one that's presenting some ideas and a couple others that are reacting. And the person that's presenting ideas has as a thought balloon a lot of stuff going on, and then saying something that is a lot more simple than what's in the back of their mind. And it seems like it's really connecting with the audience. So there we go. Off the cuff clarity can feel accidental. Here we go. Journaling earlier today, I was thinking about UX as a mindset. UX being the pursuit of user experience design. It's a multidiscipline, like most skills that you would put in for trade. But it borrows a lot from anthropology and psychology and design, and is about sort of applied research in a way to learn about your audience and learn about the folks that are making stuff, and then make informed decisions that try to make things better for everyone. Okay, back to the article. I was thinking about UX as a mindset and how I sometimes totally nail the pitch when I'm describing it to friends and family, which I did a good job describing the project to relatives who stopped by for a socially distant while wearing masks visit. Also, both Kate and I had our first 2 vaccinations and days away from our second doses. Editorial update. We're far past that now. We have had our second dose and the subsequent time. What an interesting time we live in, also as an editorial comment where there's pandemic related context in just a blog article, but here we are. Continuing. So we're visiting family, and eventually I share what I've been up to, including that UX mindset pitch. Finding clarity without having planned for it at that moment. It's not trivial to get a brief description to be both clear and useful and immediately hear when I want to say it. Describing something with all the feelings and ideas I have about spreading the culture and practice of UX to business, engineering, and art. It's a whole crowd of ideas and emotions. Some days I find the words in the moment. Something about the being there and immediacy. I'm only just getting that feeling from writing in recent weeks. Writing to capture knowledge and process to repeat practice doesn't have to feel clinical. That's something I've known by seeing it in practice, but not something I've been able to fully grasp in writing. I think this comes from being just ready enough to try, feeling the gentle creative pressure of the moment's need, and playful enough to jump. It's a good feeling when it works, and with enough practice, it works well enough, often enough for me. But it's not a magical infinite library of things I can do this with. Only a few things I've practiced a lot. It works when I'm preparing, practicing, and sometimes performing. Those leaps of clarity come from both either work and the spark of come from both the earlier work and the spark of performing it. Here's my attempt at reproducing that pitch performance. UX mindset is a big deal to me because it invites and encourages everyone who leads or serves within an organization that mostly uses top-down approaches to build things to see and act on how it's possible to start making decisions differently. You don't need to be an industry-leading expert to decide to include others' experiences in how you decide things. That's the biggest change with so much new possibility, to go from not valuing learning from your audience because it's intimidating or inconvenient to then require it and then start being affected by what you learn. To become awesome at it will take an ongoing effort and willingness to keep learning and being affected by what you learn. But you don't have to be awesome at it to begin the learning. That's the book I'm building a pitch about, to encourage people and teams to see value and cross that threshold of learning with their audience. And that's this article called Off the Cuff Clarity Can Feel Accidental Even After Preparing. So, all right. Taking a look at the chat, taking a look around, Very good. So then I think I am going to choose, well, let's do one more article and then some sketching about Guitar Fretter. How are we doing on our time? Doing pretty good. It's also interesting to do the spoken reads of these different articles and see the different timings in the performance and stuff. This is also like a practice. This is a live session. So part of this creative thing, yeah, it's something I made before, but it's about the read and the performance and experiencing that. And so hope it's entertaining and useful. You find some interesting things, and this is a kind of thing that you can stream in the background and have some, hopefully, mellow sounds. And that, I know, is a useful thing, as I've heard from feedback from other podcasts I do, and with collaborators as well. One of those podcasts, Why Not? Let's look. So, hey, wait a minute. There's a link here that says Lean Into Art. If we click that, well, this is the big podcast show that I do in collaboration with Jersey Drost of J Drost. What's the shortcut link for Jersey? It's I've typed it up many times in articles. I think it's a good place to start, to go to Lean Into Art, and then there's all these kinds of links you can find for Jersey stuff. Like, we'll mention Jersey on Instagram and all that, or projects that he's doing, like his big Baron von Bear book, which is super exciting and awesome. He's making a comic about his awesome, brave, cute characters that are caught up in all kinds of intimidating, spooky magic power type stuff. And yeah, sounds like it's going to be a great story. And he's working his tail off to make an amazing book for everybody. So anyway, mentioning Jersey, mentioning Lean Into Art, and I'm going to hop back to interactivestoryteller.com, and we're going to look at the list of articles. And I wonder, why not do a Guitar Fretter article read? Why not? Okay, I have a whole bunch of different posts about creativity, user experience design, creative process, experiments in illustration, sometimes turning into merchandise, but other times just practice and learning and sharing some stuff along the way. Let's go back further. Let's go to the archive and way back. So I'm going to do a search for, oh, I clicked on something. That's funny. This will be a nice article to read some other time. This is my comic Art Geek Zoo. And wow, 13 years ago is when I made it. I'll definitely be reading this article in a stream another day. Okay, here we go. I need to not just click everything in the world here and get back to, all right, January 2021. So if we do, okay, again, I'm going to do a search for Guitar Fretter, and I wanted to look at the mini poster post. There we go. So another article to read, this time about the Guitar Fretter mini poster. And here you see the something that represents the new look of a game I've had for a long time. If I go to, if you're like, wait, what's Guitar Fretter? So if we go to guitarfretter.com, you're going to get the nice shortcut to my itch.io page for the game, which you can get for Mac, for Windows, and on iOS and Android. So all of that is linked right here. And so, you know, you can get a preview video of an older version and stuff. And the basic idea is it's an arcade game puzzle to make it action and fun to memorize the note positions on a guitar fretboard. And I say arcade game because, you know, you've got points and you've got a streak that if you keep matching things and not missing, you can get big multipliers of your points. You can earn health, you can lose health and all that. And, you know, so you start the game and it can be game over eventually, right? But in between there, you're doing this memorizing and the game really rewards you for that practice and process of memorizing the note positions on the guitar fretboard. And so I am working on a lot of updates for it. One of those is the new look. All that is side commentary. Let's go into the article. Okay. Here's the mini poster and a new look. To separate the problems of designing an aesthetic from designing the updated game screens, I made this mini poster. A few weeks ago, I shared an earlier work in progress. The mini poster is now ready and sets a foundation for the visual style of Guitar Fretter. A new structure to the navigation. Another problem to manage is the flow of the navigation. Comment. So that's when you start the game and then what choices do you have and then what choices happen next and so on. And, you know, it's a fairly simple game, but there's still some options, and that adds to some navigation complexity. Back to the article. What happens now in Guitar Fretter is you immediately choose among a few kinds of things at once. Primary choices like game modes and also side choices like how to play. In order to expand features in the future and have it make sense alongside the upcoming pared down free version, I need to take a fresh look at the navigation. And so hi, doing great. I see Captain Drew Jones in the chat. Yeah, doing great. Welcome. I'm currently partway through this article about my visual updates to Guitar Fretter and also structure of it, right? Because as I've revealed earlier this year that I am taking this game and doing a lot of updates to it and then splitting it into also a free version that won't have as many features, but still be pretty fully featured to, you know, just deliver value. I love guitar and I want it to be approachable and fun for folks to learn about it. And if they hear about this game and they want to try it before buying it, I don't want to do the complexities of at least at this time, of the whole free-to-play, paid upgrade thing. Just making a whole healthy little app that doesn't want your data, that doesn't show you ads, and does help you, memorize the positions on the guitar fretboard of what notes are where. And, or at least of a couple options, right? So yeah, bass 4-string and guitar 6-string are going to be in there. And, yeah. Oh, another thing from Captain Drew Jones is how are you? I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing this streaming. It turns out that my most stable schedule is in the evenings. I think that comes from a variety of places. It's the whole the time of pandemic trade-offs and lifestyle effect and whatnot. So I've got a house full of folks who use the heck out of the things during the day. So it's actually kind of hard to stream or podcast even during the day because of everyone being on meetings and eating up all the bandwidth and stuff. And so it's the evenings are just this more reliable time. And that's part of this experiment too. So I'm feeling good that I'm figuring out when it works and what makes sense. And, in general, yeah, I'm doing pretty good. So, always puzzling lots of things out. So happy to share any other, specific questions as well, but or other thoughts. So here is going back to the article. There's a whole, what is that app I use? And it's a quirky little app. You can do diagrams like this in like anything, right? You can use, pencil and paper or Visio or a dozen or dozens of other competitors that will do, flowcharts and stuff, right? But I like the simplicity of this. What is this thing? It's called Scapple. Is that right? It's called Scapple. Let's see. Let me do a quick search for that. Yeah, it is called Scapple. It's such a funny name for an app, but okay. And so I do these. Sometimes when I'm designing apps, I'll use this simple tool to do a flow. Like I've designed really complex flows in Scapple before, and I like it's so minimal. Right? It's just you have words and lines connecting, and it's some good keyboard shortcuts, and so I like the experience of using it. And you see essentially a flow for Guitar Fretter Classic, the full game, and then Guitar Fretter Free Play, current working title, and Mystery, because I blocked it out, and because I'm still figuring out what's going in the free version, and I haven't published it, so I still have that time to do that. I have most of this figured out, but it's the work in progress. Announcements to come. So let's see. I actually love to consider conceptual flow, meaning, and structure of experiences. A different and still fun problem to solve than the visual style. It's the information architecture of the game. Information architecture is when you can solve the unseen problems of meaning and relatability when you create something for someone else. Choosing words, grouping concepts, what happens first, next, after. I took a look at the structure of ideas in Guitar Fretter that get you from the start of the game into playing levels. I revised it to be simpler now with what I'll be adding next. This is another one of those blog post notes to future me editorial comment. That's something I do I seriously am creating blog debt in how many things I hope my future self goes back to and links. We'll see what happens. Write about information architecture because it's such a fun space to solve problems and make a big difference for user experience in apps, games of all kinds. All right. So here we go. The conceptual structure of Guitar Fretter. If you're curious about what app I use, it's Scapple. Oh yeah, and I put a link to it here. And I basically said that part already. So the start screen is in progress. Look at this. The visual style being, figuring out. It's like the look and feel of these characters has changed a lot, right? So if I go back to the Guitar Fretter web, yeah. So right, here we go. There's a start screen right there. This is very much based on a certain. So you know how some comics you've got the main show, or some anime or manga, you've got the main show, but then other times you've got the silly version of it, right? The chibi stuff, the playful last couple minutes of the show to do some other storytelling point, right? I had a similar parallel to this in Art Geek Zoo. So you have Pick and Crunchy. Pick Wingvey is the name of the penguin character on the left. Yes, that's a penguin. And his mystical guitar friend Crunchy. Pick has stage fright. Crunchy's pretty grumpy. Both have lots of emotional baggage, but they become friends. They go to school. They form a band and they go on adventures, and all kinds of things happen. And there's a playfulness, of course, in the main story, but it's a little more serious, right? So then I made what I call it, AGZ Mini was Art Geek Zoo Mini is what I called the other thing. And so these are the style of the characters from Art Geek Zoo Mini, and but it's been some time, right? And so when someone comes to this, they're not coming to it from Art Geek Zoo anymore, right? They're coming to Guitar Fredder because they're curious about fun games about learning stuff about guitar, right? So it was time to do a new look and have it stand on its own. It's not a secondary thing anymore, right? So it's cartoon. It's still Pick Wingvey. It's still Crunchy, but it's fresh. It's updated, and it's a stronger design. So start screen is in progress. So now with the new style plus information architecture, I'm ready to redesign a few screens to start with. Well, the start screen. Games take forever to make, except sometimes they don't, and it just feels that way. I'll keep sharing updates as I make progress on the new Guitar Fredder versions. Still thinking later in Q1, totally missed that date, for publishing timeline, but that's a rough guess. Seriously, can't wait to get these new versions out. I'm excited about the new look. Okay, so there was my second article to read, and I think I'm going to switch into doing some sketching. So, well, and I'm just kind of looking around at the chat and stuff, and looking at the different situations here. So yeah, what makes sense here? If I switch to the, I'm going to switch to a different view here, and I'll be right back. And let's do this, and let's do. How about that? Yeah. Yeah, we can wrap up the background there. Okay. Still experimenting with lighting and all that stuff. I probably should turn on another light. But so here we are at the at the desk and accidentally activating stuff. Let's not do that, Google. Thank you. I have my Android tablet at the ready too, just in case. For example, let's see here. Woo. Yeah. So can get meta here. It's with exploring uh, other ways to visualize and comment and discuss and note, annotate, and all that. Okay, so so Guitar Fretter has a well, a few different things related to art that I'm working on. One of those things is the instruction comic. So there, I have, let's see, how many comic strips here? 6 comic strips that are built into the game that give you an idea for, how to play it, right? I mean, have you ever bought a video game from the days of old, right? Where it was common to have instruction books. Let me see. I have a few sitting right off camera. I will. I'm just gonna wander. I could do the smooth thing and switch to the be right back, but just gonna hop over there. I will be right back. I'm back. Okay, so not the same as an instruction comic, but you have well, here we go. There's Bomberman for the Nintendo 64. And you've got things like it's just super funny that I is there a way that I can both show this and be on camera anymore? Yeah, you just never know troubleshooting and figuring out camera angles for doing demos and stuff. What exactly is going to be needed? Anyway, it's funny. Wow. I mean, so they're explaining things like from very, very basic building blocks of the experience, right? They're talking about the control stick. The N64 control stick uses an analog system to read the angles and directions of movement. And so they're, giving you some pretty fundamental, covering a lot of bases. I mean, really, really stuff that I'm not covering in my comic to as far as how to play Guitar Fretter. I'm not talking about, so you have a tablet and the screen is a touch screen and stuff like that. But it was a different era, right? And I don't know how many people needed that first couple of pages. I don't know if they did any usability testing on the instructions themselves. Oddly enough, I've been a part of projects that do usability testing on instructions, and it is very helpful and informative, and I hope I wish that for all kinds of projects, because you have a chance to figure out stuff about the learnability and the learning styles, learnability of what you made, but then learning styles of the people in your audience and what communicates to them. So yeah, interesting though. There were instructions in video games at one point. And so this is a little bit, oh my gosh, Battle Arena Toshinden for the PlayStation. Oh my. What other instructions do I, let's see. Oh, another PlayStation one. Nightmare Creatures. You know what? If someone would have said Nightmare Creatures to me, I would have said this totally was a PS2 game. Forgot that it was PS1. Let's see. I totally just grabbed from that. It's like there's a little stat. Ooh, look at this. Oh, this is some classic video game instructions going on here. Hey, I see. Yeah, Havoc, Blackstaff in the chat. Awesome game. I assume that was a Battle Arena Toshinden comment. But look at this. This is days of superior here. Atari. Instruction manuals for the Atari 2600 Star Raiders, right? Jeez. Who knew I was going to be streaming this evening talking about instruction manuals of old games like this? But I do find there's a lineage here, right? This is one of the reasons why I made a comic, because I believe in comics as a powerful communication medium, but like also I think it's nice when games have some kind of instructions that, yes, making that a part of the environment and natural. And it's escaping me the game design school word that's appropriate for the instructions that are purely integrated to the environment and whatnot. But I'm willing to bet, like one classic example is folks will talk about how just interacting and pressing any button, you get to learn about how to play the game in like the Super Mario Brothers for the NES. Yes, but I don't have the instruction book here, but I imagine one exists for that game too. And I would say, like as a kid, I would flip through out of curiosity at first, and sometimes appreciation of art or other little bonus material in an instruction book. I certainly didn't study the instructions to figure it out. I'd always refer to it when I was frustrated. So I want something here for folks where they're like, oh, I don't know, I'm like, maybe Guitar Fretter is ticking me off, and I don't know, and they're feeling ambivalent about it. You click a button in the game, and here you go. And these aren't shown all three at once, right? Or all six at once. There's one comic, and then you click and you see the next one, and then the next one in the game, right? But yeah. And as I'm talking about this, I think it would be kind of awesome to make a zine or mini comic as a bonus material, because why not, right? I mean, I'm not going to tell you what a joystick is, but it could be something cool and special, right? All right, something to file away. Oh, that's funny. I'm looking back at the chat and I see Nightmare Creatures. Yeah, that's funny. I really remember loving that game. I need to go back and play it. Oh, wow. Yep. Doom 2 instructions. Look at that. I grabbed the most random. I have more video game instructions over there on my bookshelf, but I grabbed this little random stack, and it was like 1990 just showed up in a stack of stuff in my hand. And then of course, what year is Star Raiders? 82. Copyright 1982, Atari Inc. Check it out. Yeah, interesting. Oh my gosh. All right, I'm going to stop flipping through this pile. But this is a thing that I got at an event at the Mall of America for promotional material for the Nintendo GameCube, and I never opened it up. Interesting, huh? So, a little look on that camera, a little look on that camera. Interesting. All right. So, one of the visual things I need to work on is this comic, because, well, Guitar Fretter's been around for a while and has slowly changed a little by little over a few years. I think it's been around like 10 years now. And it's little, like, things have changed enough where this comic isn't totally accurate. And I would like to also refine it, right? It's a little bit, it's a little more wordy than I'd prefer. The character designs aren't right anymore. Even the what happened in the last decade is this movie that is a little more popular than Guitar Fretter, that has characters called Minions in it, and maybe there's more than one movie. So me calling these characters Minions, I don't think lands the same as it did when I first did this. So let's see. Looking at my stream quality, making sure things are good. All right. Doot. Okay, because I got a little preview over here that was looking choppy. So, all right, I'm promising that I'm going to do some sketching. So, let's see here. All right. This is not like a super awesome look, but like here's essentially 9 situations that I want to do new sketches for, and a little bit of commentary about that, because one thing that Guitar Fretter is missing, even though it's like based on characters and story, like I have story about these characters, there's not a narrative really. There's a flow to it, right? Like you start the game and you have health, and then you can lose that health and you have consequence. There's game over, so there's a flow to it, but and there's a little bit of implied things, like you can like see where the in the start level start, and you've got these creatures is what I'm calling them now, and Pick and Crunchy. There's a conflict, right? I would say there's the lightest touch of narrative, almost in the range of, if you remember the interstitial screens in Pac-Man, where it's like, wait, are they playing? The ghosts are chasing Pac-Man, and it's like this happy music, and then there's the Miss Pac-Man thing and love and stuff like that, if I'm remembering correctly. So then, anyway, there's a little sprinkling of some narrative where you're getting rewarded for playing and then learning more about it. Way more extreme version of this that I am not going to this level is Hades, right? I should totally be streaming playing Hades. I play the heck out of that game as my relaxing go-to. And it's I feel a better sense of victory or meaning in defeat because of the characters and the story and the relationships, right? And I would like that in Guitar Fretter, within reason, a sprinkling, right? The an essence of that kind of idea. So anyway, so these beats, these moments, can be more story infused, right? So you've got when the game is loading, you've got when the level is starting, even the start screen itself. There's situations like, let's see, feedback during the level with, you got a perfect fret match. You've got what is this? What is the progress bar and what does it mean, right? Does it relate to the story at all? All this stuff I'm working on adjusting. And in addition, like the flow of, here's the whole, here's the narrative right now on sticky notes. It's, well, the creatures feed on mistakes. They find Pick and Crunchy because Pick's still learning. He has a lot of fears and stuff, and he makes a lot of mistakes. So there's these creatures show up through these kind of portals, right? So all of a sudden there's something more, meaningful reason for them to start this arcade conflict with Pick and Crunchy. And okay, so they show up via portals, and then and the reason that they are they make energy, they get resources, they benefit from the failure of Pick and Crunchy, which is you, the player, right? So these creatures benefit from you failing. There you go. There's a premise for a game. It's more meaningful than what's currently there. Let's see. So the level complete, you closed the portals that those creatures were coming through, but then they start opening up again. And what else is going on? I'm working on backgrounds, so there's a little bit of a progression of, now you're dealing with these creatures in a classroom situation. And, now you're in the street in some kind of city. Now you're in the mountains, and now, you're sort of in and I may go typical game style, like, oh, lava, desert, sewer, what have you, but we'll see. But then you end up at their home. And so there is, I think, at some point, probably not this next release, but some kind of actual beating the game, right? And then you just collect that experience. So you get the narrative, you get the little flavor of the flow of getting through the story with this, and through your own effort, and you get to um, well, skill up in knowing, looking at your guitar and seeing the the notes in your head, and knowing that in and you know, in the full version of the game, you can do custom tuning, you can do lefty flip and stuff like that too. So anyway, I don't know if I ate up all my time for sketching or whatnot. This is stream's going a little long, but let's see here. So then the idea would be, you take some kind of background, not too detailed, but then then the guitar fretboard is floating in front of that background. And then there's new versions of the elements that I pointed out that I'm working on. And all of a sudden, Guitar Fretter is a heck of a different looking game than it once was, right? And that's a good thing. So yeah. And here's some concepts of the portals I've been working on. You know, is it floating mysterious cymbals, skulls, guitars, and music notes, or is it puffy cloud, lines, jagged energy, or flowy, ghosty spirit kind of energy? I don't know, but you know, those are the portals, right, that the creatures have come from. And then this is a rough background concept, just some kind of building in a city or school. There you go. What else? Let's see. Looking around, I see comment. There's a baby in Miss Pac-Man. There's a baby in Miss Pac-Man too. So that's right. I get those two games confused as far as the interstitials. I think Miss Pac-Man makes more sense in the interstitials, where I feel like in Pac-Man they were more like honestly goofing around, which is fine and interesting, and it's an analog, in my opinion. It's taking this serious story and then putting it in a silly context, and it's like a breather, it's a break, and that works too. Let's see here. Grabbing a fresh piece of paper. And I'm going to do a rough sketch. Oh, let's see where my loose idea of where these creatures come from. It's like a metal album cover magical home, right? So what would that be? And I don't know, mountains make sense, but it could be space too. That's interesting. What if it's space? Yeah. So then you'll have the some kind of confluence of asteroids, and that's interesting too. Speaking of asteroids instructions. Oh my. And then, you know, some kind of nebula energy and clouds, like early star formation type stuff. Some distant things. Speaking of nebula. how wild. So then it's like if this is in the far background, and then so that would infer, stars, some frequency. And this is a rough sketch, right? So what you see here, what's forming here is a loose composition, and that's and the composition is both on the page and in my mind, right? Where I'm trying to get it out and think, well, what makes sense here? So this is like a more of a foreground asteroid thing. Would they would have houses of some kind even in this, like I mean, you wouldn't just sit on an asteroid, right? So some kind of structures, and I think that adds to the mysteries of the unknown kind of thing. Not that I'm directly borrowing from that, but subconscious. I suppose I hear Leonard Nimoy In Search of in the back of my mind. Let's see. All right. Could be, I'm looking at the comments. Could there be a different album covers for each level and little guys come from those for different themes? Yeah, that's actually a really good concept too, is that it's they're all album covers. That is a solid concept. And then that could lead to a lot of variety in art style too. Um, Part of my rationale for thinking of it as a little more literal place, but totally it doesn't have to be this, is the feeling of progression, right? So there's some, you're moving throughout, but then the progression could be conceptual too. You're moving through some, but so yeah, I mean, either way, that's that's, I mean, I like that as a as a reason to have just difference in the art and style. And so not all the levels don't feel the same. I suppose like Pac-Man, the board color changes. All right, and here I'm just kind of making the structures sort of spiral out from the asteroid. So this would be the mid ground, and far background, some stars, and obviously the blackness of space. But yeah, so that's the puzzle too. Is and I will have some answer for this as I get to the this next release, but it's not it doesn't have to be the the final thing. Totally can evolve. So yeah, let's see, some moons, and I suppose this, and then yeah, certainly the portals, right? Portals, all the different places where they attack musicians who make mistakes, which is every musician probably. So anyway, there's a rough concept. Building up to something like that. Then yeah, that's the interesting thing too, is that albums are typically a square, and this is going to be a rectangle. So I'm going to work through, that composition puzzle as well. Okay, so I think I'm getting close to wrapping up. I'm going to do a quick TurboGrafx session. How about that? and then we'll end the stream. So if you throw out other ideas or questions or whatnot too, I'll keep looking at the chat. But I will be. TurboGrafx. And here's me. I'm back. Alright. You know, Devil's Crush feels wonderful. Oh, do a quick verification that audio is working. Turbo is a little quiet. Okay. I can do adjustments here also. Hey, that'll work. So, why not? All right, we're going to do a quick run here. I've got my good old TurboGrafx Turbo Stick. My Turbo Pad, I have, I think I have like 5, 6, no, I've got 7 or so Turbo Pads, and they're starting to fail. So I need to do that replacement thing that is important to do with the classic game system. Which, shout out to my incredibly skillful, awesome friend, Patrick Greenwell, who resurrected this game system. Because it's also, I think the base system would still work, but like not the CD-ROM, that's for sure. Yeah, the joysticks and the pads can be fixed. So I have to deal with that at some point. But for now, pretty confident that the Turbo is healthy. So I'm going to turn on my other monitor here. You need to worry about that. But it gives me a more a real-time view into the game, so I can miss less often. So then I don't have an excuse. So because the capture card delay is just enough. There we go. Audio's good. Okay, let's do a round of Devil's Crush and see how this goes. I don't know if I've ever played Devil's Crush, so probably should. No, I mean, just for writing sake, right? It's not like I haven't had the time on the list. So, that is losing the ball that fast. So if you're new to Devil's Crush, it's I mean, I'm doing a disservice by even talking about the music is absolutely fantastic. Just the game pities me because it gave me the little teleport gates. The good news is that the teleport gates get me to the third upper section of the board instantly, which is super awesome. And I imagine it as it's like a whole team of druids doing something important, a la like Def Leppard Rock of Ages video. And here they are. Nice. So I not only get to interrupt these druids' important work, doing some kind of magic circle thing, with hitting them with a pinball, but I actually have the little jumpy jelly beans below the flippers here. They're helping me, and that's because the game went into you're having a rough day mode, and pitied me and brought me straight up to the druids, and also the gift of the blocking beams or whatever. So this is one of those things in Devil's Crush 2 if you want to, it's stay there. Seriously. Oh my god. This is not a good game for me today. It's fun, but seriously. The last druid lives. So the castle helps with this, right? So now my center path through the ball is no longer as long as I'm slightly careful. So that's good. So I mean, it's a pinball game where you collect bonuses and you slowly build it up by swimming with little dungeon creatures. It's like a combination of dungeon and pinball. And you got the three main sections, but then as you saw, there's all these bonus screens. I forget how many. I think there's at least, I want to say there's 11, but I'm just saying. But this music, and everything about it is precious. Even as the dog name. Because, how many games of an older era have that kind of thing where you need to see it. We're going to talk up to date sweet stuff. The armored lady warrior turns into lizard armored warrior lady. That's awesome too. That's the last ball. But I do get to do a match. We'll see. Right. After this, I'm going to do around the Bomberman and wrap up this one. So I've got a match now. And we missed. Close though. I'm not even going to put my name on for this. This score can do better, but it was fun. I mean, I love Devil's Crush. All right. Here we go. Welcome to the blue screen of I don't have a game in. But here we go. Got the hue card for Bomberman 93. Ninja Spirit and Keith Courage are right here too, but I'm not playing them tonight. All right, Bomberman. Okay, do the battle against robots. So we'll do 5 players. Computers. Oh, how many wins make sense? Let's do 2 win. All right. Who am I kidding? The conveyor belt. It's my favorite. Favorite screen or favorite level on any Bomberman, any era, any time. It is a delight. Turbo in '93. I mean, so you don't have like some of the adjustments, right? So you can fine tune the nature of the game. I'm sitting here. I would like that. Nope. And I'm in bad news. Nope. So, yeah, those silly ingredients, and we that's a draw. So I was attempting to go fetch that kick bomb, but took way too many gambles and chances there. I love Bomberman Couch Co-op. All my game. It is such a fun game to play with friends. I know it's not always possible, and other ways I play it too. For you. This is for you. I'm cooking it for you. There you go. And now that's for you. Seriously. Alright, this person's trouble. I don't have much range, and I would not like this. So here's one of the super tough things about playing Cthulhu characters in Bomberman in Bomberman 93 is they have no. Oh my God! They can grab the skulls, which are sicknesses that. Have you ever got the match? Have you ever got the match? I regularly win. Could be playing better, but so the computer that has no like. Oh God! Got me! Oh, come on! Oh, ever got the match in Devil's Crush? Yeah, absolutely. But it's inconsistent. It's sort of I honestly playing any game for a couple decades, you would it would be reasonable to expect more skill, but there's kind of a rhythm to it, right? Where you can, it's okay. So this game will continue. The red person didn't win because it's a 2-win match. So the it's almost like a 1,002, 1,001, 1,000, somewhere in there, right? Where if you see your number zip by and do that count, you've got a good shot to get a match. So it's not. I don't think they throw like a random tweak. Seriously. Get off my tail. These are for you. Oh no! Oh, come on. It's not good. Okay, so the computer player grabbed a sickness, right? and they have no cost for that sickness. The computer just compensates and acts like it's not having any difficulty, but all those sicknesses can be like you can suddenly not be able to drop bombs. You may have to drop every bomb you have. You may get reverse direction. Down is up, up is down, etc. You may get short range, where you can set down bombs, but they all have poor range. Okay, keep in mind. Oh god, I have reversed. I'm toast. Look at all my goodies though. As I explode, I leave behind all that. Oh. So, wow. This is a weak sauce battle and I suppose leading to more drama. Can we all get one win? Ay, ay, ay. Let's see. No thanks. Get that out of here. So yeah, the red person just has no thank you. For you. Oh, seriously, that is something. Did you see how close that was? That's for you. Nope, got me. And neither of us can drop bombs. There's no, and so this is temporary, right? Okay, I won. All right. And I think the computer's behavior is pretty good for the era it is, and having I think they make one computer or one or two of them be having better AI behavior than the rest, but it's still like it's a fun chaotic game. Yeah, one of my favorite games, right? As I'm wearing a shirt that's tribute also to Bomberman. All right. Let's go back to here. Any other questions before I sign off? This has been fun. Thank you so much for hanging out. A little longer stream than I had planned, but it's all kinds of experiments with this. Later evenings tend to work better, and I'll probably show up again another late evening soon. And at some point, I will actually put it on a schedule on purpose, so you'll be able to look at my Twitch page, for instance, and know. So awesome! Thanks so much for hanging out. Great to see you here. And I'm going to say, have a great evening or day wherever you have tuned into this. And as I look for the button, all right, thanks again.